Well, coming up on Business Live this evening, Ken Ofori-Atta completes vetting as he justifies the composition of the GRA board despite concerns raised from the Appointment Committee of Conflict of Interest. Also, Ghana to be removed from money laundering and terrorist financing list by the European Union from the second quarter of this year. We have details on this one, and later we get in touch with the newly approved CEO of Apex Health Insurance as he speaks to us on boosting penetration rates in Ghana's insurance industry. We have all these stories and more coming up shortly after this break. Do stay. Hello and welcome. My name is Charles Aite. Now, the Finance Minister-designate Ken Ofori-Atta has taken his turn at the Appointment Committee of Parliament. One key matter that came up in the course of his interrogation by the members of the committee was the composition of the Ghana Revenue Authority's board. Apparently, investigations from some members of the committee revealed that Ken Ofori-Atta approved of a technical advisor who had not the legal remit to position himself within this board. Here is his answer to the question on the reasons behind his action.
The board of GRA is usually composed by the finance minister, am I right?
Yes, yes, but I usually have discussions with the presidency on some of these important areas.
But basically what it means is that the board cannot be composed without your input.
That's correct.
Who is NS Akore?
NS Akore is a technical advisor at the Ministry of Finance, who I brought in from Data Bank when I was made finance minister.
So more or less an advisor to the finance minister, right?
That's correct.
Are you aware that
he's also on the board of GRA?
You are aware that the law that establishes Ghana Revenue Authority clearly states that the representative of Minister of Finance will be someone director and above and cannot be below director?
Yes, representative of the Ministry of Finance.
So why will NS Akore, who is not a director or above a director, be used to replace a deputy minister of finance on the GRA board?
Mr. Chairman, that was a philosophical decision with regards to the deputy ministers getting off of the board for both ourselves, Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Trade. Because we believe it to be more efficient about that.
Well, that's the Finance Minister-designate Ken Ofori-Atta's answer to that particular question posed him by Muntaka Mubarak there. Away from that, the country could be removed from the money laundering and terrorist financing list by the European Union from the second quarter of this year. Ghana was last year placed on the list of countries with deficiencies in anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financial laws. The action brought some restrictions on banks and the firms in Ghana doing businesses with their counterparts in Europe. But speaking on PM Express, head of EU delegation to Ghana, Diana Akoncha, said Ghana has made lots of progress for this action to be reviewed.
It's a question of the people from FATFA that is this international anti-money laundering watchdog of which Ghana via the regional organization is also a member. They should try to come here and make an assessment of Ghana. I hope that they can come as soon as possible, but Ghana has made a lot of progress, and very soon they will remove Ghana from their list And when they remove Ghana from their list, the European Union is going to remove Ghana from its list.
You made a comment that got me excited when you said very soon. Maybe that it'll be all other things being equal next quarter or something?
It depends on when these officials from FATFA can have this fact-finding mission in Ghana. I don't know if they will come or they will have it remotely. It's really a question of organizing, but they are ready to remove Ghana from the list.
Meanwhile, Diana Konsha believes that fighting corruption is a long-term battle that requires every country to put in place measures so as to ensure that things are correctly done.
It's a very long-term battle, I would say. There is no one magic bullet, no one size fits all. There are different components. Building strong institutions as well as public education are certainly two of the elements. This Arab project financed the campaign from NCCE on, and there were these big posters around town, "Thank you is enough." So the citizen has to know that when he or she gets a service from a government agency, he doesn't have to pay. It has to say thank you. So this was the idea behind it. So there are different things to be done, and the institution is one of them. The digitalization that I know is strongly promoted by the government is also one aspect, because it eliminates the human contact that then generates the corruption. Good regulation and legislation with clear rules, so there is not a lot of space for individual interpretation that then in turn can leave space for favors to be asked or to be given. Yeah, I think it's a conjunction of measures and of continuous commitment that every country, because we are talking about Ghana here, but we could talk about any country in the world, including Europe, every country has to fight this battle for itself. And in the European Union institutions, we also have our own measures to make sure that that things are done properly and that procedures are respected. So everybody has to watch within its own house to make sure that things are done in the right way.
You're still watching Business Live. Ghana's insurance industry has had its fair share of the COVID impact. Well, the sector was not only constrained to meet the seeming demand for claims, but also was a challenge to innovate to meet recent insurance demands. An important one has been the consumption of tailor-made health insurance packages across the country. What does this hold for insurance firms? We are joined via Zoom by the newly appointed CEO of Apex Health Insurance, Godwin Sechofia Tukpe. Apparently, of course, he's also awaiting the approval of the NIC, but currently we can say for sure that he's been approved by the board. Congratulations on your appointment. First of all, I'm curious to know your priorities in the short to medium term as you await approval from the NIC. If you could kindly unmute your microphone so we could hear you better.
Yes, thank you and good evening to our listeners, and thank Multimedia for all the good work that they've been doing all over the years, especially with the Joy Health and Wellness Trade Program that has been organized for some time now. But for me, my short-term priority is to look at where our service levels are as Apex Health Insurance, one of the best health insurance companies in the country, to try and improve on those services. And then obviously the long-term priorities will be to continue the growth of the organization. And I might say that the announcement will be out shortly. Apex Health has become a member of Liberty Health, which is an international health insurance company in over 26 countries across the world. And then I'm looking forward to strengthening and growing that partnership as we progress through the life plan of the company.
Great. Let's see how that goes. But you are coming on board at a time when COVID-19 cases are plateauing thanks to the vaccine that we're currently deploying across the country. So what's going to change about insurance from your perspective as the next CEO of Apex?
Okay, so for insurance across the world and across the country, it's obvious that those who are insured always get the best of healthcare outcomes because they have the luxury of second opinion and they have alternatives in terms of where they want to visit. But I think 10 years ago, when companies were trying to use digital platforms to work and then have shift systems that ensure that people work from home. I think it was strange to a lot of companies. And for those companies, COVID has shown that they were indeed prepared. So I expect and I would lead this team by innovation. But I also want to bring to bear some of the issues that the health insurance, especially the private health insurance companies, have to deal with. So we need to, and that's what we are doing as Apex Health, to adjust our product to suit the new challenges of the world in respect of healthcare financing. So there's demand for telemedicine, there's demand for mobile medicine delivery services, there's demand for mobile laboratory services, on-site clinic for corporate organizations, so you don't have to go far. And so these are things that health insurance should look at. And one of the basic principles of the health insurance is to not cover for pandemics. But COVID has taught us a lesson, and it's a risk. So even if we do not want to take up that full risk, then we have to look at ways of providing some subsidy as part of our package for it. And I think this is something we have to liaise with government to try and find solutions to.
Interesting.
So that would be the focus of Apex Health. Yeah.
Interesting. But you know, Apex Health Insurance, best noted for your niche insurance packages, despite the springing up of new insurance firms. And of course, Ghana's insurance penetration rate still holds at less than 2%. How do you aim to change this narrative? We've been engaging with so many players in the industry. They keep giving their varied views on how this could change. But just to draw on your expertise and perspective on how best you would want to change this narrative of the 2% penetration rate.
Okay, yeah. So for me, this percentage appears to be quite low, obviously, because there are a lot of Ghanaians to be insured in respect of their health. But I think the majority has got to do with people who fall in the category of the informal sector, like traders, the normal Ghanaians, the average Ghanaians. And so, yeah, I think the private health insurance companies need to find a solution around this if they can't fully support these informal policies because it's too much risk. And I understand most companies are looking at places of comfort like people within the informal sector who are employed and are taking salaries through the Controller General's department so they can have monthly deductions where they can be assured of that.
Exactly.
But for me, I think the informal sector is something we should look at. And there's the NHIS. And I feel that there should be policies that should ensure that the private health insurance companies complement what the government is doing so far as healthcare financing is concerned. So it's an area we want to look at, but the problem of that has got to do with anti-selection. And you know, in Ghana, people say that if someone is looking for health insurance for themselves as an individual, then obviously they have a known condition for which they want to use the health insurance for.
Exactly.
But I think we can have underwriting policies that will look at this and ensure that people who genuinely need to be insured are insured, and then products are also affordable. So for us, we'll look at, in the next 2 to 5 years, growing the informal sector clients and dealing with individuals and families. So that is an area we are going to look at, despite the challenges and the fear of the unknown. All
right, Godwin, we're grateful that you joined us, and congratulations upon your approval of the board. We shall await that of NIC. And I think it was just your birthday recently as well. We wish you a belated birthday on that. Godwin, has just been approved by the board of Apex Health Insurance as the next CEO. We wait to see how that goes. But away from that, the Canadian government has supported the country with developmental projects worth $50 million over the last couple of years. According to the Canadian High Commissioner to Ghana, Kati Chaba, about $150,000 is being channeled into the agricultural sector and other support schemes to help the country achieve the sustained economic growth. She spoke to Joy Business.
We provide a bilateral portfolio of development projects to Ghana every year in approximately worth 50 million Canadian dollars. Each of those projects that's being funded within that portfolio is developed over a longer period of time, and we have been supporting work in inclusive economic growth. As I mentioned, also, so that includes things like supporting the agricultural growth of Ghana, which is our flagship program with 125 million Canadian dollars allocated towards that. We also are working quite extensively in the health sector, so around things like improving nutrition, addressing maternal mortality, but also sexual and reproductive health and rights, and also, of course, addressing gender-based violence, which is, as we know, become a major issue in every country during the pandemic. So those are the areas that we see as continuing to be priorities. And of course, it goes without saying, gender equality and empowering women and girls is a cross-cutting theme across all of those, and will continue to be at the heart of our programming. So we will continue down that path. We will continue to consult regularly with the government of Ghana about priorities and what Canada's role is in addressing those priorities. But I think we'll be staying the course for now with the areas where we're already active.
It's obvious that COVID-19, Ambassador, has changed forever how we will do things in the world, especially in the issue of innovation and technology. And it's interesting how today I've been in two meetings where the first one was talking about digitization for SMEs, and this is also talking about innovation for women-led businesses. What would you say Ghana should be eyeing or should be looking at when it comes to the SME space, connecting to especially women in the area of innovation and technological development to fast track and also, or to leapfrog, and also to keep women-led businesses resilient?
Well, I think there are many ways in which we can do that. I'm not a particular expert in those areas myself, but I know that that technology, new technology, gives us an opportunity to leapfrog, to really move forward effectively in how we deliver services to people. And we've seen in many countries, including in Ghana, innovations that have made it so much easier to be able to reach out to people, to reach people in rural areas who before it would have been so difficult, but now through mobile phones or cellular technology, for example, we're able to reach people. We were hearing today during the project presentations about these women hubs that are going to be set up through one of the projects that are going to make it easier for women to get services that support the development of their businesses. And a lot of that is going to be led through technology. And so we have to take advantage of what's out there to be able to make it easier and faster and more effective in delivering services to those who need it.
Now, Plan International, a non-governmental organization focused on girl-child empowerment, is partnering the Agricultural Ministry as well as the Ministry of Education to provide opportunities for women and girls in agriculture, especially those involved in soybean farming in the northern part of the country. It believes when women earn well, it has a huge impact on their families and communities, hence their decision to focus on them. Solomon Chechefa Mariam is a country director for Plan International.
I think, as many of the speakers have proved today, when women have significant income that they generate on their own, it has a huge impact on the family, the children, the wider community. And that's really one of the greatest plan that we have, is that the benefit, whether it's financial or education, or from even medical perspective, or overall well-being, we're really hoping that this would actually benefit not only the 12,000 direct beneficiaries, but many more. So we are really excited to have the opportunity to have a discussion with you and the public in general in terms of how this program has benefited more than the direct beneficiaries, which are actually the 12,000 women within our program. But overall, within the 4 grantees, we're actually looking at more than 30,000 direct beneficiaries, but the indirect beneficiaries will actually be multiplied much more. And as you've also seen today, we've actually invited Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Trade, Minister of Education, because this is also a very key ministries that will actually be part of the implementation of our program, because our intention is actually to complement the government's efforts and to support the government in its initiative at national level.
Well, the Director General of the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education Training, Dr. Fred Che Asamoah, says the implementation manual for the National Apprenticeship Policy will be essential in guiding the engagement of apprenticeship in the country. The apprenticeship policy aims to deliver a well-coordinated inter-sectoral national apprenticeship system, enabling categories of learners to acquire relevant skills for employment, livelihoods, empowerment, and social-economic development. Well, speaking on the sidelines of a validation workshop, Dr. Asamoah indicated that the implementation manual will serve as a roadmap.
When you set up a policy, you have to have a system that will help you to implement it. So, and that is what is taking place today. We realize that the apprenticeship system in the country has not been well developed. Even though it happens a lot in the informal sector, there has to be some kind of system that will help improve the outcomes, both for the mastercraft person and for the apprentice. And that is where we are putting some guidelines. So if you take somebody on as an apprenticeship or as an apprentice, you should have a certain responsibility towards that person and the vice versa. And that is why, as we are transforming the technical and vocational system in our country, we want majority to acquire skills for the period they are undergoing training. TVET is not the normal standard grammar learning whereby people are taught to read and write. This is about performance. So even if it's computer design, if it's IT business for IT business solutions, it should be on the job training. So as you learn the theory, which forms about 30% of what you do, you should be able to perform about 70% of the time. So your training will be within the shortest possible time. It will be at a low cost to the employer or the workplace, and it will also help you acquire the skills that one needs for the training for which you have been taken up. Yes. So you see, no policy sits on its own. It has to collaborate with other systems and regulations to be able to work. So not only that we are having the policy, but now we also have what we call the sector skill bodies that we've set up, some of them, and we are setting up for all the economic sectors. So industry, in the first place, is being brought at the center of technical and vocational education through the sector skill bodies. And these policies will also help spell out what is the role of the industry person vis-a-vis the workplace.
Well, that'll be all for Business Life. My name is Charles Aite. For me and the rest of the team, many thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your weekend.